this session? Perfect, thank you. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us, you guys. Very welcome to today's networking event as part of the UnLock You program on marketing, communication, and media. I just want to put it out there that sometimes my internet is quite unstable, so if at any point I drop in and out, or if there's any technical issues, don't worry, I have my colleague here, Irish, who will take over if anything drastic happens. And don't panic, I will try, yes, Irish is here as backup, and I will try to reconnect as soon as possible, so don't panic. And I just want to go through some housekeeping points just to make you aware of the format of today's networking event. So we have our speakers here, but for the first part of the session, it will be the three speakers having a chance to talk through their careers journey and sharing some experiences. During that time, please have your mic on mute so that there won't be any feedback and noises. And the chat function will be available throughout the whole session. So at any point, whenever the speakers are presenting and you have some question, please just put it into the chat box. And if we don't get a chance to take on board there after each speaker, we will look at them at the end. And also, it will be a chance for you to ask the questions in the breakout session as well. So the session at the start will be recorded, but the breakout session won't be recorded, just to let you know that. And our participants in the breakout room will be notified 2 minutes before the breakout session ends. So you will be notified that with plenty of time in beforehand. And also, if you have any questions throughout the session, throughout the breakout session, just let us know through the chat box, or in the breakout session, you can just tell us by putting your mic on. Okay, so I am very, very excited to be able to introduce you to our great lineup of speakers today. And first of all, we have Helen Thompson, who is the head of operation at Big Mountain Productions. And after Helen, Sarah Owens will be, who is a regional marketing manager at GLL, will also be sharing her career journey and some top tips for a class of 2020. And last but not least, we have Cara Jackson, who is the social media and content executive at Digital 24. So without further ado, I will pass it on to Helen. Helen, would you mind sharing some of your career experiences and your journey with our students today?
No. Hi everybody. Thank you so much for coming along. I'm absolutely delighted and honoured that Stella has asked me to come along this afternoon, and certainly to be speaking with two other clearly very accomplished ladies. So I'm very interested to hear what they have to say after my own bit of blather. So some students here may know me already because I lecture. I've been lecturing at UU over the last semester in professional work placements, that side of things. So I've been in this industry, in the creative media industry, for quite a long time. I started in more years ago than we will care to mention, but I started in a company called HETV, which was one of the first facilities houses in Northern Ireland. And for those of you that aren't across that, facilities houses effectively now would be the post-production houses, currently the likes of Kaboom and Yellow Moon. But the facilities house I was in was called HETV, and our lion's share of our work would have been in television commercials, but we moved into offline and 3D graphics as well while I was there. So we would have offline programs as well as creating title sequences. So a sort of a range of work. And I moved following my time in HETV to Brian Waddell Productions, as it was then, now obviously Waddell Media, which is probably one of the largest indies in Northern Ireland. And Waddell's, again, did a range of work. I was in Waddell's as the marketing executive. So I was responsible for all the non-broadcast work that Waddell's did. So it was a typical independent production company, in fact, one of the first in Northern Ireland. Brian had been head of programmes in UTV, and we had a portfolio of work which included inserts for the news show every night, but we also did sort of current affairs kinds of programs like Money Talks with Leslie Black. So very successful brands. But obviously, anybody that's planning to work in the industry, you live or die by your commissions. And you need to always have a steady throughput of work. So commissions are cyclical. So Brian brought me in to kind of maintain a steady flow of non-broadcast work so that the company was always busy. So I did a lot of work with the likes of Bombardier, Northern Bank, like 20 plus videos for the Northern Bank, a whole range, different companies, Royal Society Prevention of Cruelty to our ROSPA, actually, the health and safety one, a complete range of weird and wonderful videos, and in many respects very like working in programs, because you go from a standing start on a subject and have to learn all about them in order to be able to deliver a finished completed project at the end. The other part of my role in Models then was looking after sponsorship, because a lot of programs, and this is more prevalent today actually, a lot of programs are the money that is commission that the commissioner gives you to make the program isn't sufficient to deliver the program. So that shortfall is made up by sponsorship, or it can be made up by additional funding through the likes of Northern Ireland Screen or BAI or some other method. But I therefore was also responsible for getting sponsorship for programs. And it could be money, it could be a vehicle, it could be, again, a range of things. I also did all the press and PR for all of Brian's programs, for Models itself and the two sister companies. So I was very heavily involved in the marketing side of Models and just maintaining a throughput of business when the commissions maybe weren't as busy as they could have been. So it was I really thoroughly enjoyed working in Models, very much like a family, very much everybody pulled together, very sort of cohesive team. And when I left Models, I moved into the BBC. And I joined the BBC initially as client executive for external business. And I'm sure you're thinking, what does that even mean? So I'm sure you're aware that the BBC is the money that turns the BBC over is primarily the license fee. So every household pays a license fee, and that is the money that comes in and therefore funds its programming, its infrastructure, its cost centres, its staff, etc. And while, yes, they do generate money through the sale of their programmes to other broadcasters through BBC Worldwide, the other way that they generate revenue is to maximise the license fee through the sale of what they call spare capacity. So if you think of somewhere like BBC Northern Ireland, there's large studio spaces, there's camera crews, there's sound engineers, there's edit suites, there's dubbing suites, and they're not all working all of the time. So my role was to identify where there was shortfalls in the generation of revenue, where they weren't working, and maximise the revenue by the sale of the spare, what was deemed spare capacity, which it sort of was approximately, but on average, it was about 900,000 to £1 million a year in additional business brought into the business. So a significant amount of business that I managed from end to end. So I had to identify the spare capacity, find the customers, negotiate, sort out the tenders, the rates, etc., and then make sure that that business was delivered on time, on budget. Because Northern Ireland is small and I couldn't afford to upset anybody, because if we had, then that word would have gone out and we wouldn't have got returning business. We did very good work in returning business. And we did, again, weird and wonderful. I would have worked with the Blame Game, which obviously is still going strong today. Radio One Big Weekend, like a totally diverse, the Titanic concert at the Centenary, all manner of big projects, most enjoyable, but very, very intense. But thoroughly enjoyable. So as you will see, my my career has been very diverse in terms of within the media industry, from marketing executive to client executive for external business. I also trained as an assistant producer and had some projects commissioned and delivered those projects, worked as an assistant producer in BBC Northern Ireland. And I felt I absolutely grabbed that opportunity because for me, it helped me understand what my customers needed. In terms of, it's all very well a customer saying we need X cameras or we need Y. As having worked as an AP, I was all too aware why they needed that, and I could sort of work with them and better understand their needs. So I trained as an AP as well. So as you can see, a sort of a weird and wonderful mix. But what I found all the way along in my career was the thing that I enjoyed the most ultimately was helping people, whatever I did, whether it was a corporate video, whether it was finding sponsorship. It was all about what can I do to make this work, to land this plane, to get this sorted. And it was always down to helping people, helping people. And because I worked with all the indies who were my customers in BBC, it became a very regular occurrence that people would send young people to me, students to me, people returning to Northern Ireland looking for work, people that were just out of work. So I was regularly meeting with people and helping them find work because I knew the independents, I knew what jobs they were working on. So I was able to say, I know that Waddell's are just about to start a project, or I know that Turn are just finishing something and might have something coming up. And I could make introductions and help people get work. So that was the embryonic start of me getting involved in talent management at BBC. So an opportunity arose and I took the opportunity, and as I took the role of talent manager, which was just an attachment for a year. And as talent manager, my job was to informally recruit. And what we mean by that is in production, a production goes ahead when it has been what they call green lit. But a green light can happen on a Friday, and the plan is then that a full production team is standing ready to go on a Monday morning. So as you will appreciate, in terms of traditional formal recruitment, you're not going to have an advert drawn up on the Friday, much less posted, people applying, shortlisted, interviewed by Monday morning. So this informal approach took place. So I was invariably phone bashing most of the weekend, but I had a fair network of people who would be looking for work, and I had helped people along the way. So people were very happy to help me back. So if I phoned somebody and said, look, I'm looking for an AP, they would say, I'm not free, but I know that Joanne is, or I know that Peter is, and we would work it that way. And I always able to get a team in place. And it's not just any team will do. It has to be the team with the right qualifications, the right skills, the right temperament, the people that are going to work well together, gel as a team, preferably people with the right skills and knowledge to address the subject matter. So, for example, if you're doing a documentary, a current affairs documentary, you're not looking for an AP that's had lots of comedy experience. You're looking for an assistant producer that has the right skill set to join that team. So it wasn't just a question of anybody, it was finding the right people at the right time for the right money. So it was quite an art, but I did enjoy it. And at the end of the year, the BBC, as the BBC invariably does a sort of a bit of a change, and it decided that the talent team would manage all recruitment, so not only the informal recruitment, but the full recruitment for formal roles as well. So I became the lead talent manager and was suddenly managing both the informal and the formal recruitment. And then just to complicate it a bit more, the BBC changed its sort of how it operated and created a thing called BBC Studios, which was like a separate entity delivering to network only. So in BBC Northern Ireland, we had a BBC Studios bit, we had the BBC Northern Ireland bit, and I was doing formal and informal recruitment for both scenarios. And they worked in slightly different ways, slightly different budgets, slightly different rates. So, and I was learning as I went, so it was all quite a challenge. But as I said, my key thing is helping people. So I did my level best just to help as and when and how I could. And I enjoyed the job, but it was challenging, and it was always calls late into the night or texting people and chasing people up. And I was eternally having coffees with people, finding out what their availability was like, so that, you know, I knew that they would be coming available in 6 weeks' time. So I had that in my back pocket should something come around in that time frame, because it was a very movable feast. It wasn't that it was planned out that these projects were coming up, and we knew it was subject to commission, subject to various things as to when a project might start and who was available to series produce it, etc. So a real mixed bag. And I did that job for, I think I was in talent for about 3+ years. And at that stage, there was yet another change in the BBC. And this time I was made redundant. So I left BBC at the end of 2018. And that was quite surprising after 21 years in a company. That's a bit of it's strange to find yourself in that position when you're not just going in and doing the job in front of you, that you actively have to think about what job will I be doing. So in some way, I have an understanding of what it is to be finished something that you've been invested in for a period of time, and then you're going, what's my next step? What do I do now? And don't underestimate how disconcerting that can be, and don't feel there's anything wrong with you if that does disconcert you. It is a challenge, because some people are very clear and they know what they want to do, but some people are kind of a bit overwhelmed, and that's totally fine. In my case, I was looking at my range of skills and trying to work out what was the best fit way forward for me. Something that was said to me that I did take heed of was just say yes to things and find out what you like and what you don't like, what works for you, what doesn't. And I was, first of all, like a rabbit trapped in headlights, and I didn't say yes to anything. And then I started doing this saying yes, and I soon became extremely busy, and I found that most enjoyable. But it became that I was so busy, I wasn't getting a minute to think about a big picture or what I might want to do. I was just I was busy all the time doing a range of things. So my current portfolio, because that is the role of a freelance, as I'm sure many of you, the ones that are in media, will be aware, the freelance element of the media industry is quite significant, like about 40%. For the most part, freelancers have a specific job, like they're a camera operator, or they're a sound guy, or they're a second AD or a first AD, that they have a very clear role. But certainly when you're starting out in the industry, you may know what you want to aspire to, and that's extremely important. Aspiring to something is not the same as walking out of university and being it. The degree is hugely influential and hugely important, but it's that on the ground experience that gives you that value added, that gives you your unique selling point and makes you a viable option. As I always say to students that maybe say, I'm a DOP, my suggestion is always, you're on the set of Game of Thrones, you're an extra, and the DOP has just keeled over and somebody shouts, is the DOP in the house? Are you putting your hand up and running forward? And if you're not, then you are an aspiring DOP, and that is totally fine. But be very clear as to your language when you're leaving university, what you are and what you aspire to be. And it's totally fine to have that aspiration. And at this moment in time, you may not be quite sure what you want to do. That is fine. That is okay. So currently, my roles are a mix, as Stella mentioned. So one of the main roles that I've been doing actually for over a year now is head of operations in Big Mountain Productions. It's an independent production company that is based in Newry, and we do a range of programs. But actually, we've literally just finished one of the first COVID OBs that has happened in Ireland. It was for TG Cahir, and it was called Daniel Sawala, Daniel O'Donnell, and his wife Magella from their home in Donegal. So I've been working on that for the last lot of weeks. The last show transmitted on Sunday night. So they do a lot of Irish language, but they do also a range of stuff for BBC Northern Ireland and the network as well. And they have delivered for wider broadcasters too. I also organised the Belfast Media Festival this year in its 11th year. And of course, as you will appreciate, the whole COVID thing has added a whole complication to that. So I'm working my way through the various options as to how we might move the Media Festival forward this year. But the plan is to deliver on the 11th and 12th of November. And I also am a part-time lecturer. As I've mentioned, I've been working in Ulster in Coleraine. I've also been working in Southeastern Regional College, delivering HND and HNC in the film school. And I also deliver in Belfast Med as well for the film school. So a complete mixed bag of roles and responsibilities, which I thoroughly enjoy. But I think the key thing that I want to impart to you today is I have arguably walked in your shoes not that long ago, and I do understand the sort of what is ahead of you and what your concerns might be. But the key things that you need to think about are having the right CV and think about application forms. For my role in BBC, obviously as lead talent manager, suffice to say, lots of CVs came across my desk. And I was passing those CVs on to series producers and people making programs. The key thing a person making a program wants to know is that you have the skills that they are looking for this specific project. And we are inclined to put together a generic CV that is all of me, but they don't care about all of me. They only want to know about the bit that is relevant to the job that I'm applying for, the bit that they're interested in. So, for example, I will admit it. I'm ashamed to admit it, but it is true. I could tell anybody else how to do a CV, and that it should be, 2 sides of one A4 page, and should be starting with a clear explanation of who I am and what skills I have, and backing it up with the essential skills that I have, backing that up with the experience I have. My own CV was maybe 8 pages long. Disaster. Because the bits that were relevant were maybe at the bottom of page 7. And that's no use to man or beast. If you're in a crisis situation and you're trying to find the right people for a job, you want to be able to see straight in front of you that this person has the key skills. You don't have the time or the energy to be reading to page 7 to find out that actually Helen has what I'm looking for. Helen needs to be telling me that on page 1. And that's a bit of a challenge initially. But once you get into the swing of it, it is totally doable. And whenever I speak to young people now, for example, when I'm in Big Mountain, I will always say, we're looking for an assistant producer. Please make sure that you put your relevant assistant producer experience on page 1, that we can see that. Because if I'm sifting through 15, 20 and I'm on a deadline, I can pass the best person for the job because they haven't told me on page 1 that they're the best person for the job. And it's all about selling yourself, but selling yourself appropriately. I don't need to know that you've been working in B&M bargains, but I do need to know that maybe in your own time you've been making some films, so you have the relevant kind of experience. The B&M bargains thing might be extremely useful at the bottom of page 2 to show me that you've got good communication skills, you're good with people, you're used to working under pressure. You can still use it, but the bit that I'm interested in, that might not be the first thing I need to see. I want to see examples of why you're the right person for me at this time. So every role that you're looking at, every role that you're going forward for is slightly different, and your CV should be tweaked accordingly. If I had £1 for every time I got a CV, and I would say to somebody, I have a role here as an AP, and I think it might suit you because you've done this work, and the CV would come in and it would say Helen Thompson, researcher, because that was they didn't think to change it on their CV, but they're immediately giving me the wrong message. I've asked for an AP, the series producer has asked for an AP, and I'm handing them a CV for somebody that is calling themselves a researcher. And that can just be too embarrassed to call themselves what they are, but it immediately makes the series producer go, is this really the right person? They're only a researcher. But actually, if you look at the experience they've had, they've been working as an AP on their last 4 jobs. But they just didn't take the time to tweak their CV accordingly. So that's really, really important. And the other thing I would say to you, that's very much in the informal recruitment area, where it is CV driven and it is a very fast turnaround. But these contracts will usually be no longer than 3 months in most cases, which is deemed a casual contract. For formal recruitment, it's for longer term projects, and you have to go through a full application process. And the key thing there is ensuring that your application and your CV match. There is no point telling me something form that is not backed up in your CV, because then it makes me wonder if what you've said in one, which one is accurate, which one, is somebody gilding the lily in the, or why did they leave it out? Did they not think they'll get somebody whoever they were working for won't support them, so they haven't put them in their CV. So that it makes you question something. So always make sure that your application form and your CV match.
That's great. Thanks.
I just was worried about time there.
Yeah.
No problem.
So much. That was really, really useful. And as for someone who have 8 pages of CV, of course, 8 to 10 minutes is not enough for you to go through your whole career journey. So everything that you have mentioned was very, very valuable. So for those who have questions, please into the chat box, or make a note of it, and whenever we are going into the breakout rooms, you will have another chance to talk to Helen in that area. So we'll move swiftly on to Sarah. Sarah Owens. Sarah, are you with us?
Yes, yep. I am. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can indeed. I'll pass it on to you now.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Wow, how can I follow Helen? That was quite a story there. I will concentrate less on my own CV, if you don't mind, and talk about the organisation that I currently work for. Just a quick resume of my career. I studied CAM, Communications, Advertising and Marketing, after a short sojourn with Queen's, which I couldn't stand. And I loved being at UU for that. I then went on to work in advertising and PR. And then I worked for most of my career in radio within Downtown Radio and Cool FM, the largest radio stations in Northern. So my job was very much marketing and promotions led. I led a team of sponsorship and promotions, sales and marketing people to basically partner all of the big events, concerts, door and indoor, live broadcasts, sponsorship deals, basically everything that was cool and happening and fantastic fun. So it was very much as a private company, very revenue generated. Commercial media relies on advertising, right? And in a pretty busy marketplace, you have to stand out. So the reason why I stood out and my team stood out was because we were very creative. And when you start to build contact with people and customers, the most important thing is, in my book, is to under promise and over deliver. A lot of the media have a big talk, but actually when they come to delivering the goods, from a commercial point of view, it maybe sometimes doesn't happen. So I feel that if you're in those circumstances when you are dealing with customers and you want loyal customers, it's really important to understand their needs and to really deliver for them each and every time. So I went from a very, very ferocious and competitive commercial marketplace where money was the driver, lots of fun, and I'd done that for quite long and started to feel a bit burnt out, to be honest. I took a break, and then I started in the organisation that I'm currently in, which is called GLL, and we are a leisure operator. And if anybody had said to me as I sat in the pub or on a night out in a club that I was involved in gyms, I just would have told them to go home. But there we are. We're a social enterprise. I'm not sure these are the best slides, to be honest. But what we are is the largest leisure operator in the UK, and we run and operate all of the leisure centres and gyms in Belfast for Belfast City Council. And outside of the Olympic project, when the Olympics came to London in 2012, Belfast is the biggest transformation project in leisure in Europe. £105 million worth of investments to change old-fashioned leisure centres into state-of-the-art facilities. So I'm not sure whether you've heard of Lisnashire Leisure Centre, Better Gym Belfast, Olympia, the new Andersonstown Leisure Centre will open soon, which is the biggest aqua park in Northern Ireland. I'm responsible for moving and promoting all of those. So there's 15 in total. It's very exciting. I look after PR, marketing, advertising, both digital and traditional. And there's about 600 staff in Belfast, and I really want to sort of focus on the types of careers that are in leisure, as well as my own marketing experience. The reason why I really love this company is it's a social enterprise, and not many people probably understand what a social enterprise is. Social enterprise is a not-for-profit organisation, and any surplus that we do make goes back into Belfast. So we fund athletes, we run health initiatives for people recovering from cardiac problems. We support underprivileged children in summer schemes. So we do all of that social and community impact stuff, which I didn't really know that I really enjoyed. And for me, having a job with social impact that gives back is so important. It was 10 years ago, but it is for me now. And I think the sense of pride I have in belonging to an organisation like that is very important. And it can be the difference between deciding to apply for a job and not apply for a job. I would say that, our organisation starts at the very beginning. We take people in who, and the other side from what Helen was saying, who maybe don't have the experience. We take in graduates who maybe have graduated with another skill, and we put them on a career path where they can go all the way up to the top. Currently the chair of the UK organisation is my boss, and he's also the regional director, but he started out as a lifeguard part-time. So the joy that I find in this career and in this industry is you don't need to know everything when you start. But you do have to have universal skills to be any position within the company. You need to be passionate, you need to be agile, you need to put your hand up and say, yeah, I'll do that. And by doing that, you find out what you actually love. And it's so important to do something that you love, because when you stop loving it, it becomes much more difficult. And you spend a lot of time at work, so it has to be something that you really enjoy. I love the collaboration with the people that I work with. They're all probably much more fitter and younger than me, but that's okay. I bring skills to the organisation that they never had. The brand, the GLL is the corporate brand. The actual customer-facing brand is better. So you'll see better leisure centres and gyms. And I've taken that brand, which was very confused when I joined. I thought it was a mental health initiative, to be honest. And I think it's become quite well known in Belfast and beyond. And I'm very proud of that. But it takes a lot of time. But I suppose, my job is to do with telling a story. rather than just pushing a brand based on price or promotion. It's telling the story that we're more than just a gym. We are part of the community here in Belfast. We give back to Belfast. We are absolutely committed to more people, more active, more often, because this region in Northern Ireland suffers terribly from health inefficiencies. And that's why at the moment we're just embarking on reopening 9 of our leisure centres and gyms, which is a huge task. But we're absolutely passionate and believe in doing that because people are coming out of this pandemic, possibly having lost a lot of their fitness, and well-being is unlocked by physical activity, and that's what I try to tell the story about. The benefits of being physically active to your health and well are astonishing, and I see that every day for myself. So across Belfast we've about 20,000 members, and our staff are absolutely committed to service. We want to smile every time. We want to greet every member when they come through the door. We want to be approachable. If I know the answer, I'll certainly find somebody who does. And it's committed to consistency in service, and that's what is so important to the organisation that I work for. They're very people orientated. There's a big philosophy around coaching and mentoring. I mean, when I started, I was very experienced. I was given a mentor and a coach straight away because they wanted me to learn more about the ethos of the company and more about what makes us so passionate about what we do. So I would say to you, don't discount any opportunities you get. A bit like one said, putting your hand up and saying, yeah, I'll do that. You find out what you actually like and what you don't like. And from an employer's point of view, we're looking for people who are completely agile, who are, there as part of the team. You don't need to know everything at the start. You do need to be committed. And I think there's something to be said about having a wee bit of humility at the start, but knowing who you are and I'm very, very proud to push yourself forward and to promote yourself, because as employers, we're looking for people who'll go the extra mile. That's for sure. So it's a very exciting time to be involved in the leisure industry that I represent. I'm delighted to be part of the leading leisure operator in the UK. And it's an industry that can attract a very wide variety of graduates. Our training management scheme has graduates from lots of different sectors, from sports, from health, from business, law, accountancy, because they know that once they start, they have a career path, which I think is very important in these, which are a wee bit uncertain. And certainly, diversity from what you're learning now or what your degree is fine. It's good. You're never going to have the same job as you had when you first started out. I certainly haven't, but I've learned lots along the way, and that's one of the things that employers are looking for. That's me.
That's great.
I must just say I totally agree on the passion front.
Thank you so much, Sarah. There's one thing that you didn't mention. You're very humble. From talking to you, I actually have you have won a lot of awards since you joined GLL. So I'm sure all our students would be very interested in that. And if you do have any questions, I will have to ask you to stay before the breakout room. We will move swiftly on to Cara Jackson. Are you with us?
Yes. Hiya. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I can.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, so I'm going to probably keep things short and sweet. Thank you so much to everyone that's joining this wee webinar. But basically, just a little bit of a background on me then. So I was a recent graduate like yourselves last year. I graduated back in 2019. And from there, kind of decided what exactly I wanted to do. So in my second year of university, hold on. in my second year of university, I basically started looking on the employability website to try and keep my experience a little bit more. And from there, I stumbled across a role with Employability and Careers as a student engagement assistant. From there, it was basically just a matter of, just kind of handing out leaflets to students about, the career opportunities, maybe doing the site social media posts and just talking to students through word of mouth about spreading the word about the employability department. So from there, I spent my second year trying to find placement opportunities, and I found it really, really difficult. There's so many placement opportunities out there, but for me, it was just quite difficult to actually find one. And I know there is so many in marketing, but it's just so competitive these days. So I really did struggle. Um, I had my CV tailored to 2 pages. I went to the employability advisors for advice, and I still hadn't secured an opportunity by June. So I was getting quite worried. I actually flew over to London to Warner Brothers and secured an interview with themselves, but unfortunately didn't get through. So that was kind of a knock on my confidence a wee bit. But from there, I just kind of had to keep sending my CV everywhere and just try to be a little bit proactive. So eventually, I landed a placement opportunity with actually Ulster University in the employability department, but it was based in Jordanstown. I actually didn't even mention before, but my degree is in advertising with human resource management. Yeah, Eilish has just asked me there. Yeah, so I was based in the McGee campus. I'm actually from Bangor myself, but I actually lived in Derry for 3 years, and oh, I loved absolutely every minute of it. But yeah, I did my placement year in Jordanstown, and that placement year was just invaluable to my career. It really helped me learn as an individual, especially just working in an office environment just gives you so much experience from running emails, just with people, you built your communication skills, and it just was a great experience for me. I would have dipped into a lot of things marketing related. So I was running social media channels, I was doing a lot of video content, and I was also running a lot of events. So after my placement year, I was offered a part-time marketing position in my final year uni based in the McGee campus, actually with Eilish. From there, I was doing like a lot of email marketing campaigns and still the odd social media posts as well as video content. And this kind of just helped me build up my experience throughout uni to help me when it came to applying for graduate roles essentially. During my time at Ulster, I had a really big passion for video content and video production, was really interested in that, and actually landed my graduate role at a video technology company called Secure Broadcast. If you haven't heard of Secure Broadcast already, it's basically like a video technology application for Android and iOS devices, and it enables people, in the B2B environment, it allows those corporate businesses to edit and brand video content for their organization. So my role at Secure Broadcast essentially was customer and media coordinator. So I would have run a lot of social media campaigns, email marketing campaigns, and would have created a lot of video content, whether it was training videos on the platform or actually going out and meeting clients and training them on video production and showing them how to use the Secure Broadcast platform. Now, saying that, I thought that was what I wanted when I left university, and I was still really unsure what career direction I really wanted to take. And for myself, I had no real experience when it came to digital marketing, and that was something that I was really interested in and wanted to learn a little bit more. In my placement roles at Ulster University and at Secure Broadcast, I never really learned anything about like Google Ads, online advertising, or anything like that. And I just felt like I would love to have that diversity of just working with different clients and just seeing if I enjoy the agency side of things. So I left Secure Broadcast in December time and started my new role at Digital 24 in January. It's been a long year, but it's also freeing as well. But it's been absolutely fantastic. I started Digital 24 in January, and I've been there. I have my 6-month review actually next week, and those 6 months have absolutely flew in. But career-wise, I have learned so much. It's unbelievable. Only being there for 6 months, and it's just the experience my managers gave me is just incredible. I know I am such a recent graduate, and I haven't got much experience. I do have 2 years under my belt, but I still felt like I still want to learn so much more. especially if you are wanting to go into a role like digital marketing. It can be like just everything just changes every month, every 2 months. It's a rapidly changing environment. So learning on the job is a key role when working in a digital marketing environment. So I'll just go on the slide here. So about Digital 24 then. So Digital 24 actually just celebrated their 5th birthday last week, and we have been in business for 5 years. So Digital 24 offer best practice consulting and delivery services in all things digital marketing. So we have a number of clients, and we would conduct a number of services for those clients, such as SEO, website development, social media marketing, online advertising on Google and social media as well. We would do just a lot of things digital marketing, but it's just the opportunities are endless with Digital 24, and I'm just absolutely loving it. So just a little bit about my role then at Digital 24. So as you can see, this is just a list of all the services we offer as an agency. So we have Google Ads, Google Display Network, Google Shopping, and we've got paid social media advertising, and we do a lot of e-commerce consultancy work with a lot of clients that may be selling products online. We will do a lot of organic social media work, which would predominantly be my role at Digital 24. A lot of SEO work, which would be something that I do quite a lot as well, alongside with website copywriting and blog content and email marketing. So my role at Digital 24, I am content and social media executive, and what that essentially means is I would do a lot of content and social media work for clients. It's pretty self-explanatory, but I work on a number of client social media accounts, from Mullins Ice Cream to BB Brands over in London. So it is very diverse. 1 minute I could be talking about, I actually work for an orthodontist down in Newry, so I could be talking about your teeth, looking after your teeth, and then 1 minute I'm talking about ice cream. So it is very diverse, but I absolutely love the role that I'm in at the minute. I would say for myself, in a marketing role, I would be very interested in graphic design, animation, and video content, and I definitely think that's something that I want to explore further in my role at Digital 24. I think that's the reason why I love Digital 24 so much, is because our manager is just so willing to develop in our careers. And Nee's really big on giving us training on Google Ads, video content, when it comes to like graphic design, for example, online ads, paid social ads. She's just so keen on developing our employees, on all the skills we need to learn in digital marketing essentially, and it's just incredible. I'm just so lucky to be working for the company I actually am. So especially even during with COVID-19, it has been really difficult times for us all, especially for small businesses. And what we do at Digital 24 is we have contracts with some council areas across Northern Ireland, and we deliver digital marketing mentoring to small businesses. And that was something in my job role. I was like, oh, I don't know, I've got really no experience when it comes to actually training clients in digital marketing. And I was kind of just thrown into the role back in February, and it's now like my favorite part. I just love interacting with small businesses and helping mentor them and seeing how I can help their business essentially. So I could be mentoring small business on, how to even create good content for social media. I could do video training with them. I could train them on paid social media ads, and just kind of conducting website audits and helping them improve their website copy and SEO essentially. And it really has been an incredible opportunity. Okay, so just slide. So just some of our recent awards, not just to brag or anything, but it definitely is an amazing agency. These are just some of the awards Nee's won herself over the past couple of years. I know with 2020, it's just all the awards and stuff have been cancelled at the minute, but it's definitely an opportunity, especially if you're working in an agency, to really help develop your work and see if you are working in an agency. You obviously want to do well for your client, and I think wanting to deliver really excellent results is obviously something that we want to do as part of an agency. So on to just the last week slide. So these are just some of our clients. So just as an example, so obviously if you are wanting to go down the agency route of things, you will be working, you know, it is very diverse, like I said, and I know I keep saying that, but obviously because especially now, you know, when I graduated, I was like, I don't actually know what I want to do. And I think actually working in an agency environment has helped me, you know, understand where exactly I want to go down and what route I want to go down in the future. And, you know, whether that's going into social media or mentoring small businesses, I can do that at my agency, which I'm very lucky to do. Um, all my what sorry, just completely threw it off there. So just some of my recommendations now for anyone that is wanting to maybe go into digital marketing or work for an agency, for example. I would just encourage us all to really look at LinkedIn. I would definitely recommend LinkedIn as a platform. That's how I stumbled upon my opportunity at Digital 24. And you can also join so many communities and so many pages and learn so much about marketing and all the different developments that are happening every month. So definitely use LinkedIn to just develop your, you know, your skills and your research, and just conduct some research around the digital marketing area and see any new trends. I know especially with Digital 24, we're a Facebook and Google partner, so we're able to get any new rollouts happening within the platform, and we're able to then pass it on with clients. So one of our recommendations would be to even follow us on Instagram. In no way is that a plug-in to follow Digital 24, but what Neve does is she's basically a platform for a lot of small businesses. So if she notices anything that can help clients, for example, or even small businesses, she's going to put it up in her Instagram story. So like I said, we are a Facebook and Google partner. So any new rollouts or new developments within Facebook, Instagram, or Google, for example, Neve will chat about it on her Instagram stories. Any new opportunities when it comes to marketing, or any of our clients, for example, that are looking for digital marketing opportunities, Neve will put that up on the Instagram platform as well. And then finally, it's all about development. You know, a lot of you that may have joined this this webinar today might not even have like a marketing kind of background or a marketing degree, for example. So what my kind of recommendation would be is to jump onto tools like Google Digital Garage. It's an amazing tool. Google have hundreds of online courses that are completely free and will teach you a lot about digital marketing. When it comes to Google Analytics, for example, that's amazing for anyone that even wants to go into like web development, web design. I think having a background and understanding of Google Analytics will help anyone if you are wanting to go into the digital marketing side of things. On top of that as well, you know, all those courses are completely free, and you will receive certificates with some of them as well, and they're great to be putting on your LinkedIn profile as well, which is fantastic. And then lastly as well, I was actually on LinkedIn there, was it yesterday? And a lot of people are now starting to put in, like, for example, starting up their own blogs as well. And I know that was one thing that was brought to mind when it came to my interview at Digital 24. Blog content, well, obviously, if you've got an interest in blog writing and blog creation, you know, that gives you skills like copywriting and creating effective copy for clients or your potential company you're applying for a job with. So, you know, start a blog and see if you enjoy it. If you do like it, it's something to put in your CV and it's something to put in your LinkedIn profile. So, like I said, just keep developing your skills for your CV. You know, I noticed a wee question there. Someone had a law degree. You know, there's so marketing jobs out there, and it's all about you really just using those online free tools like LinkedIn and Google Digital Garage to really develop your portfolio essentially. So yes, that is me, and thank you very much.
That's fantastic, Cara. Thank you so much. Interesting, very, very interesting. Guys, can you believe that Cara only graduated 2 years ago in 2018? By the way she's talking, you would think that she have 20 years of experience behind her back.
Last year, it was not this year, not 2 years ago.
I was kind of scared.
My goodness. So we will move on to the breakout rooms now. Originally we have 15 minutes planned, but because our speakers have so much to share with us, we will reduce that to 10 minutes. So guys, if you have any questions, get ready, and Eilish will put you into breakout rooms now. Thank you so much.
Brilliant, Cara. Absolutely brilliant. Don't know if you can hear me. But brilliant.
Yeah, I can, Helen. Thank you so much.